Hi, Mr. Ko here, and today's topic is solving absolute value equations. And our goal for today is we're going to solve equations containing absolute value. And our California standard is Algebra 5.0, 5.0. And there's just one major vocabulary term for you to work on, which is absolute value, and that is mainly a distance away from zero on a number line. You'll normally see it like in two lines like this with a number inside. Normally the number inside could be a negative or a positive, but your answer will always be a positive number or a positive something, just because we're talking about distance and there's no such thing as negative distance. Alright, so our first one that we're going to cover is solving absolute value equations. And here we have a very basic absolute value of 6 times m is equal to 42. Now we're going to do something special here. And here we're going to set the equation to both a positive and negative answer. Just because both positive and negative numbers in the absolute value will give you this answer anyway. So like if I had a negative 42 or a positive 42, it'll give me a answer of 42. So we're trying to figure out what can I put into m that'll give me a negative 42 as well as a positive 42, so that way the absolute value becomes 42. So here, let's go ahead and set this equation in here into two things. We're going to do a positive version of it. So you have 6m is equal to 42. That's the positive. Then we take the same equation, set it up again, and this time we're going to make that answer of 42 into a negative. So we've set it up into a positive and a negative. Now we're going to solve them. So we're going to evaluate both equations. And that's just a basic one step. So you're going to divide by 6. You now have m is equal to positive 7. And then here, do the same thing. M is equal to, of course, negative 42 divided by 6 is negative 7. So the answer to this, m, can be both 7 or negative 7. And again, let's look up here. If I place 7 into here, that'll give me positive 42. Absolute value of 42 is 42. If I place negative 7 into here, it'll give me negative 42. Absolute value of negative 42 is also 42. Alright, so let's go ahead and do the same thing with this one. So we're going to set this up, again, 2 times. So we're going to start with the first one, which is k minus 10 is equal to 4. This is our positive one. Then I'm going to do k minus 10 is equal to negative 4. So again, setting up with a positive and a negative number. So here, one step equation again, we're going to add 10, add 10. So our answer for this one is k is equal to 14. Now here, we're going to do the same thing. Add 10, add 10. On this one, however, k is equal to negative 4, positive 10. Think about football. Yards lost, yards gained. You gained 6 total. The answer on this is k is equal to both 14 and 6. Alright, how about this one? Well, this is a division problem. So again, I'm going to set this up in 2 ways again. So I'm going to have x over 7 is equal to positive 3. Then I'm going to have x over 7 is equal to negative 3. Alright, and just like we figured out before, if we are dividing by 7 to undo that operation, the inverse operation, I would multiply this by 7, multiply this by 7. That is, 7 over 7 is 1. I have x left, and my first answer will be 21. Do the same thing here. I'm going to multiply this by 7, multiply this by 7. That's gone. X is equal to negative 21. So my answer for this particular problem is x could be both 21 and negative 21. Right. Okay, so now let's look at our second thing that we need to know about absolute values and equations. This time we're going to solve an absolute value with multi-step equations. And how you can determine that is that you have something outside of the absolute value symbols. So in this case, you have 7 multiplied by the absolute value of n is equal to 56. So So the first thing that we need to do here is we need to isolate the absolute value, which means I want absolute value on its own. It doesn't matter what's inside, I just want absolute value with nothing else outside of that. So to do that first, let's go and get rid of the 7. I'm going to divide this by 7, divide this by 7, because remember that's multiplied by that. That's gone. I now have absolute value of 56. And now, once you get here, you're just going to set it up into, again, positive and negative. So I'm going to set it up as n is equal to 56, and n is equal to negative 56. So the two numbers that I have here that can go into here, oops, I made a mistake. That should have been 8. So my two numbers that I can set up here is 8. No matter what I put in here, 8, positive 8, it'll give me 8. Negative 8 in here, still give me positive 8. I should have kept that mistake in there. Alright, let's go and do this one. Here again I have absolute value of m divided by 5 is equal to 2. And again, you want to set this up so that way the 5 is no longer there. You want to have the absolute value on its own. So I need to get rid of that. So first off, I have absolute value over 5 is equal to 2. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 5 by multiplying both sides by 5. Okay? So once that's done, I now have absolute value of m is equal to 10. And then once you get here, it's pretty easy to see that your absolute value is going to be m is equal to 10 and negative 10. Just like what we did on the other one, because you're setting this up to a positive function and a negative function. Okay? Alright, so have a look at here. So here I have absolute value of x divided by 7. Subtract 8 minus 7, or negative 7. So here, first of all, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the minus 8 by adding 8 to both sides. And we're going to add 8 to both sides. Here I have x over 7 is equal to 1. Negative 7, positive 8. That's going to give us 1. Then here I'm going to go ahead and set this up. And here, well, I forgot to draw the absolute value. I'm going to set this up into a positive and negative version of that. So I have x over 7 is equal to 1, and x over 7 is equal to negative 1. So here, times 7 times 7, I have x is equal to 7. Here again, I'm going to multiply by 7, multiply this by 7. I now have x is equal to negative 7. So my answer for this is x is equal to 7 and negative 7. Alright, one more. This one is going to be your hardest one. Alright, so you have negative 10 multiplied by the absolute value of v plus 2 divided by 5 is equal to negative 14. So our first step here is, of course, to get rid of all the numbers on the outside. And we want to get rid of the fraction part first. So let's go ahead and get rid of the divide by 5 by doing the inverse operation, which is multiplying by 5. So I'm going to multiply this by 5, multiply this by 5. That becomes 1. Then I can multiply that. That still stays the same. I now have negative 10. Absolute value is equal to negative 70. 14 times 5 is 70. And then positive and negative is going to give me a negative number. Now, I need to get rid of that negative 10 right here. To get rid of that negative 10, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 10. That's gone right here. That gives me 1. I now have just the absolute value of v plus 2 is equal to, and that looks like positive 7, because a negative divided by negative is going to give me a positive. So here, I can now, because I am just with absolute value, I can go ahead and set this into a positive and negative version of this. And then solve. Here I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2. Subtract 2. V on this one is equal to 5. Here I'm going to subtract 2. Subtract 2. V on this one is equal to -7, -2. Yardage loss, -9. Or money owed, you owe $9. So the answer on this one is V is equal to 5 and -9. All right, that's it.